Hey folks, Rusty here. It's Friday and we just finished collecting food here at the church that will be sent over to the food bank and then eventually distributed to people in need in our community. And I have to say, this is just a great experience every Friday of watching people come with joy on their face, dropping off this food, serving the people in our community. You know, many people they will never meet and never know, but just know they're helping them out during this very difficult time. And so I just love that. And if there's one word that I could put as a banner over this very difficult season that we've been in, it would be generosity. Hearts of people have welled up in generosity and love, and I'm so grateful for that. I appreciate you so much for being a part of that, and I want to see more of that as we go through the weeks that are ahead. So thank you for that. I also wanted to jump in here for just a minute, shoot a quick video just to give you some idea of where we're going this summer. I know that there's one question on many people's mind in our church and in many churches, which is when are we going to get back together for in-person worship in the building? I hear you. I get that. So we've been having that conversation this week. You know, it was this time last week that Governor Kay Ivey lifted the restrictions on the size of gatherings, but you also know she left social distancing measures in place. So that means essentially that churches are also allowed to start meeting as long as they meet the guidelines for social distancing as well. Churches have been having conversations. Lots of pastors have been in conversation this week. They've been calling me. I've been calling them. I've talked with pastors in our community around the state and even in other states. I've also talked with our bishop, with our district superintendent. I've talked with local health officials, heard conversations from doctors about this. And so there's lots of information being brought to the table as we make this decision. If there's one thing that I know is that there's a lot of concern out there about large churches getting back together anytime soon and the potential that that could do in terms of some type of an outbreak. And so we've kind of put all this together to have a conversation. Our executive team met this week, had a really good conversation about this. And this team represents a lot of different places in our community. We have folks who are associated with Auburn University. We've got local health officials out at East Alabama Medical Center. We've got teachers in our local school system. We've got a coach of young children. We've got a pilot, small business owner, parents of young children, parents of youth, grandparents. And so it was really good to bring all of those different perspectives to the table to help us think through the best way that we can move forward as we go into the summer. One thing we know is the virus is still a threat, right? We haven't seen those 2 weeks or 14 days of decline in cases, so it is definitely still out there. So we will proceed with caution. And so here's kind of three things that came out of our meeting this week. Number one is that we want to lead with love, just an abundance of love for the people in our church. We are responsible for a large number of folks in our church. And so we don't want to do anything that might cause them harm. And I want you to know your executive team loves you, loves your children, loves your parents, your grandparents, you know, everybody. And they're just concerned about your health and well-being. And so we don't want to do anything that would harm somebody. We certainly don't want to do anything that would harm our community. In other words, that might cause an outbreak that would set us back from this progress that we have made toward ultimate reopening. And we certainly wouldn't want to harm small business owners and cause them to shut down. So we had that conversation, again, just out of a need to love our people really well. Second thing we talked about was quality of the worship experience. If we were to get back together anytime soon, we would do that under the strict regulations of the CDC and the Alabama Department of Public Health. And so what that would look like would be a gathering that would only allow 134 people in our building at a time. And we would come in and be spread out in the worship space, many people with masks on. Our children would be with us because we couldn't have children's ministry or we couldn't have nursery. And I'm not sure what the singing would look like. Dustin on the stage maybe singing. And then there wouldn't be any coffee or donuts, and that'd be a struggle for us, right? There'd be no water fountains. We would have to sanitize everything between services and after, you know, before and after services. So you get the picture. It would be difficult to be here, and we were thinking that experience would actually not be as good as what we're having right now with our Facebook Live experience in our homes or gathered wherever you are each week. And so we're concerned about that. Want to make sure that we're providing a good experience each week. Kind of feel like even if we were to do that, after about 2 or 3 weeks, we would all be exhausted of doing the social distancing here in our building, and many people would go back to Facebook Live anyway. So that leads me to this last point, which is just getting the timing right. That's one thing that we talked about. just doing this at the right pace and the right time. So here's our plan. We're thinking that we're going to move through June, continuing on Facebook Live this summer. We'll be evaluating all along the way, and we'll be looking at what our situation is in this community and make the best decisions we can as we go forward. So again, Facebook Live through the month of June. We're also going to be thinking about what about after that time? How can we creatively get people gathered together maybe in smaller groups before we get back here in the building? So just know that we're working on that, and as things unfold, we will let you know. Look, nobody wants to be back and gathered together more than me. I am ready to see us together worshiping and fellowshipping together. But I just want to do this in such a way that genuinely cares for others. I don't want to do just what's good for me. I want to do what's good for others. And I know we all want that same thing. We all want to continue to be the body of Christ and to have concern for each other through this process. I think about this verse from Ecclesiastes 4:1. It just says, "There is a time for everything and a season for every activity under heaven." And you know what? This season, as hard as it is, this is an activity and a season under heaven. In other words, it is under God's ordination that this is happening right now. It's part of His will for our life for whatever reason. And so what we want to say is, God, not my will, but your will be done. And also we want to embrace, God, whatever you're trying to teach us or tell us during this season, so that when we get on the other side, that we'll be stronger, that our faith will be stronger and deeper, that our relationships will be better. And so I fully believe that for our church as well. So thank you for your patience. Thank you for your understanding, your love for God, your love for each other, your love for our community. I appreciate you so much, and that we get to do this together. And one day we'll be back together in our building for worship. But I know that God is doing something in and through you and through me. And so we will wait patiently and obediently for Him to do that. So blessings on you. Know that I'm praying for you and I love you. See you back on Facebook Live soon.